Hello and welcome to Geekatplay Studio tutorial. And this tutorial will look how to create something on small scale and how to give it perception of the something very miniature, like for example ant world. So let's begin by creating first the our terrain, and this will be our main terrain layout. So I'll just stretch. Okay, let's make it a bit shallow. Next, also, if you remember, it's not just if we have it, our square is 20 by 20 approximate meters if you set or points, whatever. But again, this is not a precise scale. It does help, however, with atmospheric calculations. So if you feel like, you can actually create a small scale as a perception, or if you want it, you can take a camera, move down, be more accurate to the scale. What it does, it will help you a little bit with the atmosphere. But in the case what we're going to do, it doesn't really matter. You can have it, again, it's all in perception of the scale. So when we compare, let's have a couple tricks that how we can make it look it's very miniature. And one of them, when we start using on the main camera, the blur and depth of field. Okay, so let's create something maybe like right here is our camera. Let's create maybe ant house, and we'll just try to do ants. So what we're going to do, create new terrain. Okay, let's make a little bit smaller. And also I want this terrain look like some ant house. So let's open right here, reset, and let's load a picture. Okay, and one picture what I want to use, it is you can do in Photoshop if you want it. I'll just use something we did in a Megapack 2. Okay, so we'll select here, and that's again, it's not to try to advertise it, just I already spent some time by creating these brushes, and I think this is a very good time to reuse them. So we'll go right here, inverse. So you can see right here we kind of already have it look like a little bit ant house. Let's click OK right here, and just a little bit clip on the bottom. Click OK. Let's make it smaller, a bit taller. So here we have it, our preview. It will be our ant house. Next, it is kind of in perspective. So let's, for example, load it one of the plant. We'll just can select. Okay, if we leave right here, you can see by the perspective, it does look a little bit too small. So what we need to do, we need to scale up our plant. We can put a little bit on the background, so it will look a little bit bigger. The plants from ecosystem and solid grow plants, they're very nice, but sometimes what happens when you want to do very close up, the static plants is actually work better. And one thing I kind of used a lot and I recommend, it's available also on the cornucopia. It is a grass by Walter. It is dandelions. This is actually static plants. They're not solid grow, but nice things about them, if we bring them very close up, they look very realistic. They look like real grass patches. Okay, let me maybe move just slightly right here, so you can preview. Look very nice. So we can increase scale on that grass and still have it very nice. The one only has a big weird drop because they are not solid grow. They will look exactly same. So you want kind of mix them together. So let's go say this one, have a different grass patch. Again, in a scale you can or make smaller, or you can just go ahead and scale up and using this way. So in that case, this is what give it our perspective. It's a one step, and a second it will be when we start working with depth of the field. So let's right now just load a couple maybe our ends. So we'll go right here, and I pre-create them from poser, so we'll just go ahead and import it right now. Okay, and we'll go first end. And I want just single frame because this is not animation. Let's a little bit scale him down. And bring closer to the camera. Let's load it, import another. I'll create count maybe several, three of them. So we can position them in different areas. Again, by position the ends in different planes, you can create this additional 3D perspective, so we can compare the scaling. Let's get it one more. And this one maybe want to get out from the house. Okay, at this point if we render, we can see already it's look very nice. Let's apply some texture to the ground and to the hive. So we'll go take our first terrain. And it's whatever you have at ground, you can use it rocks, some other grounds, but I'll use it at spring. And one thing what I'm going to do, because we close up, I'm going to scale down. The one thing what also, let me point, if you have a bump map, you may have the problem, like right here you can see lines going on in bump map. Okay, to fix this, you need to go to the reflection bump, edit function. Okay, and on an image interpolation type, let's set to bicubical. Okay, let's set scale 1, 1. Okay, this will do, it will remove those scales from us. Maybe a bit small. Okay, we'll preview one more time. And you can see in the texture we already have a better result with the texture. Let me do one more thing. Drop down maybe this 250. And reduce even smaller, so we don't have that large grain on this terrain. Let's go to the landscape. Let me see where we have it on the rocks. Okay. Escape, and we'll just maybe dry clay. I'll see, maybe dry clay will actually work very good for all grounds. Oops, I don't need this one. Let me cancel it. There we go. Okay. Yeah, I think the dry clay will apply better for all materials. So let's cancel this one. I'll just click OK. And let's reduce a little bit scale resolution for both of them. Next, we can add some plants what I want to do very close up, so we'll have it more diffusion, and we'll give it even better perspective of the scale. We'll just like dandelions. Scale them up. Just place it a little bit behind. Okay, let's load it more. Okay. Okay, here you can see we already have a very nice perspective for our ends. And one last touch. Again, you don't want to haze too much, because with the miniature you don't have the haze production that much. Already have it's kind of work with your depth of field. And couple things. One, you can actually render and do in Photoshop, and I'll try to do this and show you a picture with that done. So let's go right now, go on the final list 640. Let's render this image. Okay, here's the one image, and I want to just save this image as normal and also as a ZMap, and I will to do after this the blur motion in Photoshop, and or blur motion, the depth of field, the lens blur in Photoshop. You can see we have a Z depth tutorial to showing how to do this. So let me save it. Okay, so we save this one, and next I want to use the actually in view without Photoshop. You know what I noticed? Just let's make different. So we have at this end too, a bit too far away. So let me bring him closer. Put a little bit down right here, so you kind of see several ends. And move this one as well. Just so we can see them better. And to do this, we'll just select camera. Okay. Next, right here we have a target. So we'll click and we'll switch to the target. Now let's select Y, so we don't need move camera. A little bit too much, and we'll just come and we bring to our end right here to his head. So this will be our focus point. Next, we're going to again select main camera and start increasing blur. And one thing what you notice, we start having these lines, which is showing our depth of field. Let's select maybe about 11, 12. It's give it a little bit too much, but yeah, maybe this way. And right now we're going to render, but we need render at least in broadcast quality, so we have the blur enabled for our. Also, one suggestion for atmosphere, I recommend to, if you can go more on ambient than sunlight, let's give it nice effect. And if you have a nice powerful machine, switch to the global radiosity. This will bring as well much better quality. Let's boost up render quality. Okay, nice. And again, if you set on the render quality ultra superior, it will give it much better blurring effect. But for this tutorial, for the speed, I'll just leave it like this, and let's render right now, and we'll come back when it's finished. Okay, so here's actually image that created by rendering in Vue. You can notice that some will have little artifacts with blurring. I did reduce blur to 4%, stop on middle, and because it seems like too big. This is even still a little bit too much of the blur, but you can see the idea of this, how we can create. And of course, if you create in Photoshop, okay, right here you can see we can create actual more interesting effects, a little bit more ability to do this in Photoshop with a Z depth. But this is what idea how we want to create. Other actually things is very important, and before we finish this kind of lesson, I want to show you it is atmosphere preset. So let's go to look very fast what we have in our atmosphere, and one is important part, it is ambient light. So if you notice, when we come to the kind of small detail, increasing scale, we have the less sharp shadows and more ambient night looking. So increasing switching balance more towards ambient is give you a nice effect. So let me decrease now quality. If you have a better computer, fast computer rendering, global radius will give you much better effects also on the shadows. The sun, I like to increase size of corner because it gives you a little bit nice feeling with the lights. Okay. Same, I have no clouds on this. And again, this is a preset of the sky. It's available, I think, in our set, and I also will put it on a web to download as well. Okay. Well, thank you for watching this tutorial from Geekatplay Studio. Please come visit us on the web. It is www.geekatplay.com.